What if everything we witnessed during the 2026 Jerez test was a carefully constructed lie? For the global media, the narrative was simple. Toprak Razgatlioglu, the king of stoppies, had finally matured into a calculated MotoGP predator. On the surface, the Turkish star was a picture of serenity, shaving tenths off his lap times with a surgical precision that seemed to defy his previous reputation for chaotic brilliance. But as the sun dipped behind the Spanish grandstands, the atmosphere inside the Prima Pramac Yamaha garage was far from celebratory. While the cameras focused on his smooth transitions through Turn 6, team technicians were frantically shielding computer monitors from prying eyes. The maturity being praised by commentators wasn't just a change in riding style. It was a defensive strategy designed to mask a series of technical instabilities that have left Yamaha's 2026 campaign hanging by a thread. Behind that calm visor, Toprak wasn't just finding a rhythm. He was learning how to navigate a bike that, according to internal whispers, feels like a different machine every time he tips it into a corner. The timesheets showed him at the top, but the data showed a rider fighting a ghost. This was the first act of a grand deception, a performance of confidence in a theater of extreme engineering uncertainty. The world saw a champion in waiting, but the paddock was beginning to sense the first cracks in the armor. Yet this psychological game was only a distraction from the hardware revolution happening beneath the fairings. In a sport where tradition is religion, Yamaha has just committed the ultimate heresy. Since 2002, the YZR M1 has been defined by its inline-4 engine, a philosophy of corner speed and flowing agility that carried legends like Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo to multiple world titles. But by 2026, that philosophy had become a cage. Under the immense pressure of the European V4 revolution led by Ducati and KTM, Yamaha's top brass finally made the unthinkable decision to scrap their entire engine DNA. The 2026 bike Toprak is piloting at Jerez is the first V4-powered Yamaha of the modern era, a mechanical beast designed to trade surgical cornering for raw, uncompromising straight-line violence. This transition isn't just a technical update, it's a full-scale cultural civil war within the factory. Japanese engineers, long resistant to abandoning the inline-4, are now working under the heavy hand of European technical directors. The result is a bike that Toprak describes as having explosive potential, but it comes at a staggering cost. The V4 configuration has fundamentally altered the M1's chassis balance, forcing Toprak to reinvent a riding style that took him a decade to perfect. He is no longer just a rider, he is a test pilot in a live-fire zone. Every time he cracks the throttle, he is exploring uncharted territory where the safety net of decades of data no longer exists. The V4 was supposed to be the Ducati Killer, but early simulations suggest the engine's power delivery is so aggressive it's literally tearing the rear tires to shreds within 5 laps. The revolution has begun, but it's a revolution that might just consume its own creator before the season even reaches its midway point. The most terrifying moment for a rider isn't the crash you see coming, it's the moment the machine simply stops obeying the human hand. That nightmare became a reality for Toprak Razgatlioglu during the 2026 COTA Sprint Race. While the Jerez test looked flawless, the reality of the season's opening rounds has been plagued by what mechanics are calling the digital ghost. At nearly 200 miles per hour on the Austin backstraight, Toprak's ECU, the brain of the motorcycle, suffered a catastrophic communication blackout. For 3 agonizing seconds, the bike stayed at full throttle while the braking system entered a safe mode that nearly pitched the rider over the handlebars. This wasn't a mechanical failure. It was a software glitch born from the complexity of integrating the new V4 engine with 2026's revised electronics regulations. The incident was hushed up by Yamaha as a minor technical setback, but insiders report that Toprak returned to the pits visibly shaken, refusing to rejoin the session until the entire wiring harness was replaced. This ghost in the machine highlights the dark side of Toprak's transition. In World Superbikes, he could override a bike's flaws with pure physical talent. In the high-tech world of 2026 MotoGP, he is at the mercy of millions of lines of code. If the electronics can't keep up with his brutal instincts, the next failure might not happen on a wide runoff straight, but in the middle of a high-speed pack. The tension between Toprak's desire to push and his fear of the bike's digital instability is creating a psychological rift that no amount of Jerez testing can heal. Rumors are the lifeblood of the MotoGP paddock, and the latest whisper out of Jerez is enough to invalidate every lap time Toprak set during the preseason. While the official testing was conducted on series-mandated Michelin tires, several high-ranking members of rival teams have raised a formal inquiry into a private session held by Yamaha just days prior. The accusation? That Toprak utilized World SBK spec Pirelli tires to dial in the chassis of the V4 M1. For a rider who spent years mastering the Pirelli feel, this would provide an enormous, albeit controversial, advantage in understanding the bike's limit. Rival crew chiefs from the Ducati Lenovo and KTM camps have been spotted in heated arguments with FIM officials, claiming that Yamaha is using these illegal data sets to mask a fundamental chassis flaw that only appears when the bike is on Michelin rubber. If these claims are true, it means the maturity and stability seen at Jerez was a synthetic performance, a PR stunt designed to lure in sponsors and boost Toprak's confidence before the grueling European leg. Yamaha has remained silent on the matter, but the body language in the garage tells a different story. Every time a Michelin technician enters the Pramac box, the shutters are lowered. The Pirelli files have cast a long shadow over Toprak's legitimate speed, leading many to wonder if his transition to the Premier class is built on a foundation of technical loopholes rather than genuine progress. This dispute over rubber isn't just about grip, it's about the integrity of the championship and whether Toprak is truly the generational talent he claims to be. Friendship in the MotoGP paddock is a luxury, and in the Prima Pramac Yamaha garage, it has become a casualty of the 2026 season. The arrival of Toprak Razgatlioglu was supposed to be the dream team pairing alongside the veteran Jack Miller. Instead, it has ignited a cold war. Miller, known for his blunt honesty, has not hidden his frustration with the V4 project's direction, openly stating that the bike is losing its identity to cater to Toprak's unique braking style. During the Jerez test, the two riders reportedly occupied opposite ends of the hospitality suite, with Miller's crew expressing concern that their data is being ignored in favor of the Turkish golden boy. The tension reached a breaking point when Miller was heard in a hot mic moment calling the V4 engine a chainsaw with no chain, mocking the very machine Toprak is trying to champion. This internal rift is more than just personality clashes, it's a strategic disaster for Yamaha. While Ducati and Aprilia operate with seamless data sharing across their satellite teams, the Pramac garage has become a silo of secrets. Toprak is effectively developing the bike in a vacuum, without the support of a veteran teammate who understands the nuances of the Michelin tires and GP electronics. As the season progresses, this isolation could be Toprak's undoing. He is fighting the grid, the bike, and now the man sitting just 5 feet away from him. The predator might be fast, but a predator without a pack is often the first to be hunted down when the conditions get tough. Time is the one thing Toprak Razgatlioglu cannot outbreak. While his 2026 performance at Jerez showed immense promise, the ticking clock of the 2027 regulation change is the real enemy. In less than 12 months, the entire MotoGP grid will switch to 850cc engines and drastically reduced aerodynamics, rendering much of the current V4 development obsolete. For Toprak, this creates a win now or never ultimatum. If he cannot prove he is a title contender with the current 1000cc V4 by the end of 2026, Yamaha may look elsewhere for their 2027 spearhead. Rumors are already swirling about a performance clause in his contract, one that allows Yamaha to send him back to the superbike paddock if he doesn't secure a top 5 championship finish. This pressure is the real reason behind his measured approach at Jerez. Every lap isn't just a test of the bike, it's an audition for his career. The brutal instincts have been replaced by a desperate need for consistency because one major mistake could trigger the exit clause. The paddock is watching a man who knows he is on a 1-year lease in the Premier class. His rivals aren't just racing him on the track, they are waiting for the pressure of the 2027 deadline to crack his resolve. Toprak's journey has been a rise of legendary proportions, but the collapse could be just as swift if the V4 revolution doesn't deliver a podium before the summer break. At Jerez, he looked like a master of his craft, but the 2026 season is a storm that has only just begun to